Excellent.
Welcome to the Queens County Board of Education School Board meeting for Wednesday, December the 1st, 2021. Can we stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. This is our first meeting of December, and we will have election of board officers. I will open the floor for nomination for president.
Dr. Salins.
President,
Point of order,
Sorry.
Mr. Smith. Dr. Salins opens the floor.
I'm sorry.
for a nomination of president.
Thank you.
Sorry, I stuck my bounds.
Entertain a motion for president.
I would nominate Mark Schiffinelli for president.
Okay, we have one nomination on the floor.
I'd like to nominate Richard Smith for president.
We have two nominations on the floor. At this time, if everyone will please vote and pass your ballots down.
There we go, two.
And our president will remain Mr. Smith. We have 3 votes for Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you.
And if I will entertain a motion for vice president,
I would like to nominate Helen Bennett.
I have one nomination on the floor.
I'd like to nominate Tammy Hopper.
I have 2 nominations on the floor. Please vote and pass your ballots down.
There we go.
And we have 3 votes for Mrs. Harper. Mrs. Harper will be the new vice president for the board for the next year. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. Okay, our next, so I'm still president. Our next administrative thing will be approval of the agenda.
Mr. Smith, may I please make a motion to amend the agenda to include 10.6 Skyline Technology Solutions, 10.7 Ford Transit Connect STB, 10.8 WB Mason, 10.9 Raid Tree Services, and to remove 8.04 informational item from this agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
To speak to my motion, Mr. Smith, we just received these action items this evening. They need to be put into purchase order for Ms. Towers to be expedited. And 804, all the board members are requesting more information on this informational item, which we hope will be added to the January meeting.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to say that we do appreciate the staff for putting that 801 together. And
804.
because we did ask for it, 804, sorry. So it is appreciated. We are going to put it on, hopefully, with the vote first thing in January. So thank you, staff.
Okay. I have a motion, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to accept the amended agenda?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, you've had a chance to look at the approval minutes for November the 17th work session. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve November 17th, 2021 closed work session and open work session minutes?
Second.
Motion, you're approving both
Yes,
closed
sir.
and open
I'm
at the
making a
same
motion to approve both.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at both closed and open?
Yes.
Yes.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sandlin, do you have recognitions?
We do have a lot of recognition. We're excited.
Is there gonna board gonna?
The board, yes.
Good.
And if we could please have Mr. Bell. Come up. No, I always forget. Test.
Test. Good evening. Thank you, Jeff. So I'm going to start with the Energizer Bunny. This award is given to a staff member or volunteer who keeps on going. It is sponsored by our Bayview Financial. We're grateful for their partnership with Mr. Chip Brittingham and Mr. Wayne Humphreys. They here this evening? They were not able to make it. Okay. So Mr. Michael Bell is our sponsor for this Energizer Bunny, and we'd like to invite up Mr. Rick Stripnader. Thank you. This award is being presented to Rick, who is the Executive Director of the Queen Anne's County Center of Arts. Rick has been a steady mover and a shaker within the arts scene in Queen Anne's County and a strong partner with Mr. Bell, helping make things happen for students and teachers alike in Queen Anne's County Public Schools. Most recently, Rick hosted all the county art teachers at the first annual Faculty Art Exposition, which helped keep Bell's message of stay an artist going for the fine arts teachers, even during COVID. He teamed up with Mr. Bell at legislative sessions across the state, fighting for the arts and the necessary funding and supporting students in schools by providing annual scholarships that are earned every year. Aside from all the projects that he has worked in, he also makes time for bi-monthly power lunches to invent new ways to keep our visual and performing arts programs in the foreground here in Queen Anne's County. This is why Rick is the epitome of the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps on going and going, and is an incredible advocate for the arts. So thank you so much.
Mary Rabbit. Thank you so much.
Just stay up here for our photo, please.
Any family members here?
Any family members?
Oh, yes, please do. Please do. Yeah.
You can't tell if you're smiling anyway.
Miss Bennett, could you scoot just one more together, please? Thank you so much. Okay, I can see everybody. Ready? One more. Thank you.
We're going to ask Michael to stay up here because he is our sponsor this evening. Our next award is the Shining Star Award. This award recognizes someone in our school system who shines, and this award today goes to Miss Kimberly Adams. If we could have her come up, please. This award is being presented to Kim, who is the Administrative Secretary for Visual and Performing Arts, Whole Language, School Library Media, in addition to Title I and Title IV, ELA, K-12, Migrant, and EL in the Department of Curriculum Instruction. Do that with a mask on, right? That title alone is not for the faint of hearts. For the past 4 years, Miss Adams has been a steady rock to the entire department. She goes above and beyond, often over late nights or weekends, literally doing whatever it takes to immerse herself in her job in order to keep the entire ship moving forward as efficiently as possible. Due to her being in charge of the supporting staff so many areas, she's had to become an expert in many arenas, but she's never shied away from learning and growing. In this profession, it's always about teamwork, but not just the kind of teamwork you'd see as a quote on a poster. She embodies the behind-the-scenes teamwork that truly helps keep an office that's incredibly thin, pulled together in so many different directions to thrive almost effortlessly. And that's thanks to her strength of her go-getter attitude. As someone who can trust and be depended on, as someone who is always shining. While Kim has been recognized as the Energizer Bunny in the past, she also is well deserving this month of the Shining Star. So congratulations.
Sorry.
I'd just like to take a second to thank the team of performing arts and also fine arts and everybody else, the other 19 hats that I wore. Yeah, it's been awesome. Everybody's been awesome. And I was that little train that could, and I did. So, and I want to shout out to my son, David, who's watching me from Alabama.
Yes, if your family could please come up and join us.
Was.
Large.
I know.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you. Very nice.
And this next award is the Queen Anne's County Public Schools Spirit Award. This award is given to an individual or a group of individuals who embody the spirit of Queen Anne's County Public Schools. And this month, we'd like to focus in on the Queen Anne's County Public School performing art teachers. This award is presented to the performing arts teachers who have stepped up and created opportunities for students to perform again in front of the public. These teachers have stepped up to immense challenges, to ensure our programs have been seen and heard, and so kids are able to sing, dance, act, march, and compete in band again. For Constitution Day and Veterans Day performances to outdoor pop-up performances with our new middle school music and theater art classes, our teachers rose to the occasion. Dance shows have been performed for the state. Theater auditions for future plays and musicals have started, and collaboration among chorus, band, and dance programs at both high schools have been outstanding. We've had a spectacular Halloween performance, an outdoor mini musical at both ends of the district. Our high school marching bands also got back out there to compete. Mr. Wright and the Marching Lions earning awards at the Tournament of Bands. And Mrs. Mogensen with her marching Buccaneers performing in the pouring rain at the Maryland State Championship. And with more upcoming winter concerts and Christmas parades are in the works, these teachers truly demonstrate the spirit of Queen Anne's County Public School System, and it's why the 2020 Queen Anne's County Public School was awarded one of the 2020 Best Communities for Music Education, a national honor that only 754 districts nationwide achieved, and only one of 6 districts selected in the state of Maryland. It's thanks to all of their hard work and dedication, and the show must go on. Thank you for helping keep our 2021-2022 performance season alive and well.
Yeah, and there would be more, yet there's a performance going on tonight at Queen Anne's.
Yeah,
And a dance show at Ken Island.
Two shows, yep, 2. So,
But we have some of them
Congratulations.
here.
And so we do have some of them here.
Yeah, so I'd like to call you up one by one, and I will hand them to you, and you can read them. and
Heather
we'll present them.
Sure. Heather Eflin?
Thank you so much for everything.
You
And
want
if you
them to
just
stay
stay
up
up
here as
here,
one big
yeah,
group?
because we're going to go ahead and take a picture.
My family's coming out. That's okay. Thank you.
Yes.
And is Andrew McIntyre here?
No, I don't think
Okay. Megan Murphy. Betsy Babylon.
Thank you so much.
Ron Demby.
Mr. Denby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For everything.
Amy Benfield.
Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jamie Dean.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Wendy Broadwater. And Erica
Erica's gotten married since Knockengoss, so Erica Bell. Braden Bowie. Jan Whalen. Burl Eismeyer. Heather Fullerton. Kristen Tyler. And I believe the last one, Monica White. Did I miss anyone? The rest of them are outperforming. So.
Okay.
You guys go, I was gonna sneak behind you.
Watch it.
Watch the courts.
I didn't realize that.
Not her first rodeo.
I'm so sorry.
We all start
Let us know what's good.
We should have the wifey's front center.
You're good.
Okay. Everyone can look right here, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the arts so much because I'm just not very talented in them, so I just so appreciate their. Does it's very, very good.
It was amazing.
Very nice.
Congratulations.
See you, Rob. Okay, moving on, board involvement. Alan, you want to?
Sure, I'll start. First, I just wanted to say that our thoughts and my prayers are with the community of Oxford, Michigan, with the horrific loss of I believe it's 4 lives, the physical injuries, the emotional devastation. Definitely will keep you in my prayers. Regarding Mr. Bell, he referenced a couple of the, so I'm putting a plug in tonight. If you're tired of watching us, we're filmed. You can watch us anytime. The Kent Island is the dance showcase, and at Queen Anne's County is the winter concert. If you can make them at 7:00. I did watch Mr. Bell's Arts Advocacy 101, and it was so impressive. It's well worth it. It's amazing what it's no wonder you guys got the Spirit Award. It's amazing what the arts program is doing in Queen Anne's County. And then, and I'm looking forward to Dr. Salen's reading on the 10th of December to the students.
Oh, I've been out and reading it about. So are you going to come join me?
Yes, I'm hoping
awesome.
to. Not to read, but to listen. So,
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You're more than welcome.
And it's nice to see our student board members today.
Very nice to see them both.
That's it.
All right. Just like to put out that the Church of Latter-day Saints in Kent Island, and in conjunction with Anne Arundel County, they started collecting backpacks with school supplies, and they had 50 that they donated to Subsidy Elementary. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Anna,
Janet?
have you been, I know you're just with us recently, but I know you've been involved with some things, but
Not anything.
Not anything?
Just yet, but give me time.
Open Meetings Act, you finished all of the Open Meetings Act. So
Yeah, you just,
I did.
you did, I saw that.
I did
came in the
complete
meeting
that.
back,
that's a
so
big deal.
You're qualified to keep us straight.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
It's very important that we have members that are certified in open meetings.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a huge shout out to Amber Wright and Kevin Reagan from Kent Island. I ran into Miss Wright. She goes, I knew better than to schedule the winter concert on the first Wednesday of the month. I knew better. So but anyway, shout out to them, break a leg. As the calendar year comes to an end, I believe the board members would agree with me that we would like to thank all the businesses and individuals who donate their time and money to QACPS on behalf of our community's children. A lot of these extra programs, extra perks that we have going on, the character counts, coaches, so many people, and we just would like to thank every one of them. Maybe we can get them put up on the website, just a special thank you for being involved with our children. So thank you.
Okay. I've been around, but not doing anything really important. Dr. Stanley?
Sure, absolutely. So I had was able to finish my first meetings with the advisory groups at the secondary level, the student advisory groups, and we're able to gather some really good themes from them and some things that we can work on. I met with principals last Friday, I believe it was, not last Friday, last Tuesday or something. I met with principals concluding those, and we talked about the themes and some things that we could do to, to fulfill some of the requests that came up within the meetings. It was delightful to be with the students, and so that led me into not being able to get into the elementary schools for student advisory groups, so reading to elementary students, as Mrs. Bennett had referred to. So I've started that schedule. It's exciting. I love it. Going in and reading with the littles is one of my favorite things to do. And we've begun the budget process, which is a very long and tedious process. And so we've started that process just to let everybody know that we'll be working hard to come out with a really solid budget that will support the needs here in Queen Anne's County.
Thank you. Amy Pudock is not here this evening. She's, I think, under the weather.
She is, and so we're gonna.
Dr. Kibler is going to.
He's going to help to get that presented up there. As always, basically, the snapshot, the spotlight snapshot really just kind of captures some of the things that we're doing here. We're going to start off with the elementary schools. And the first elementary school will be Bayside Elementary School. You'll see that here they did a food drive in November, which is amazing because they came up with almost 2,400 pounds of food. So very noteworthy. They did some PBIS events during the month of November as well, which included the turkey trot. And they actually taped their principal to the wall. So I'm sorry that you missed that. It was very exciting, having a good fun there. Going on to Centerville Elementary School, their second grade class sang at the commissioners meeting, which is very awesome. And they have a theme, obviously, this year for kindness. They've received some grant monies for that. So they've started off with their kindness kickoff spirit week. And you can see some of the things that they did there. Moving on to Churchill Elementary School, they established the club time, and this is time for students to be in small groups to get some individualized attention for areas that they need to focus on. So that's really good that they have that up and running, and students were excited to participate. At Graysonville, you can see here that they basically really took a hard focus on Veterans Day and showed support there. You can see that the students raised a total of $1,200, which went directly to help for veterans at Perry Point Medical Center, so that was exciting. And on the right-hand side, you can see they also did a food drive there as well. Kennard Elementary School, they're leaping in the zone. You can see their bulletin board there, where they're integrating the zones of regulation, so being able to understand where you are, trying to get to that green zone to be open and ready to be able to learn. The Tigers are also have a new wall up, and you can see that's for positive traits and verbs that students display. So a very much of a growth mindset that they're focusing on there. And they also did American Education Week, where they created a thank you wall, and this was really awesome, where the staff, they could put notes in for staff members to thank them. So I thought that was a really, really creative idea. For Canallen Elementary School, you can see here that they also recognize the National Education Week. First graders were experimenting and exploring with sound. The Tooth Fairy came and did the Tooth Fairy takeover, which is always fun. And What's the Matter, which is obviously science, looking at your solids and your liquids and your gases. They did an art showcase as well at the animal shelter. And at Mattapique Elementary School, they also did food items, Feed the Families for local drive, and you can see there are 1,570 items that were collected. So giving back to the community. At Sudlersville Elementary School, they took a hard focus on Veterans Day as well, and you can see they created bulletin boards and they had memorabilia out. They had hosted a retired Air Force veteran to speak. So you can see the kids really had some interactive opportunities with people, and that was really fun. Moving on to the middle schools. We'll start with Centerville Middle School, a focus on American Education Week. They created a video, well worth the watch. And you can see there November 5th, staff and students enjoyed some very perfect weather outside, which is well deserved to go out and just really have some fun competitions there. And then they made handmade apples and displayed them in the 7th grade pod to recognize our teachers. At Mattapique Middle School, they really enjoyed their fall bash, which was hosted by the PTSA. So you see some students there enjoying outside fun. And at Stevensville Middle School, their 8th grade undertook a design challenge. So they had to construct hand warmers devices. So a very cool and interesting science opportunity for students to grow and be creative. And then at the Sudlersville Middle School, they celebrated Veterans Day as well. And they had indoor and outdoor activities that they did. You can also see here that the band played, the chorus was involved, and some of the local veterans came out. So that was a good opportunity to engage with students. At the high school level, you can see, actually, both of our representatives will probably go into a little bit of the detail here, but they had some school visits. They also did a food drive. And at Queen Anne's, the students were enjoying the winter tent for lunch. And I have to say that that's probably been one of the most positive additions that we put at the high schools. We've heard lots of really good feedback that the students just enjoy being outside, obviously being able to eat lunch and enjoy the weather. And again, they also had started their college tours. You know, the colleges come to them. And just a little bit about our departments. Food service, you can see, is an amazing number, 42,885 breakfasts and 67,885 lunches. It just blows my mind that we're able to do that volume. And you can see there some of the colorful displays that food service is able to do with our students. So nice and healthy. Veggie hummus, who couldn't get healthier than that, right? So that kind of concludes the spotlight of a little bit that took place in November across the district.
And I think we've talked about it before. This breakfast is 42,000, which is great. But we used to do free and reduced and that's going to really affect our budgets in the coming years. I think.
Yes.
I know you're going to talk about that at other budget times, but now with everybody receiving free lunches, which is great. Everybody gets free lunches. It's hurting our other federally funded grants.
Yes.
Because that's going to put I think you've mentioned it's across the state and the country, but
it is across
it's a concern that we're going to have to face.
Yeah, so they're all formula-based equations that they use, and one of the factors of that formula is your free and reduced population, and that's how many students actually apply for and receive that benefit. And since the federal government decided that with COVID going on that they would make everything free to all for school districts this year, which is amazing and wonderful, and our students are taking advantage of that. Not as many people chose to apply because they didn't feel that it was necessary to apply. But unfortunately, that was based on our funding, and so therefore, with less that applied, that's negatively impacted our budget overall.
Well, do they make this retroactive and use our old numbers? I mean, or how's it? I mean, because like our enrollment is based on September the 30th, but if we don't recoup these numbers and all of a sudden the government stops this program and we haven't signed up enough for, I mean,
Right.
to me, we need to do some forward thinking and advocate that even to the state and federal government, if we were at this number 2 years ago, pre-COVID, we need to be at that. Give us a grace period of 6 months to get things signed up or something. I mean, somehow we got to.
So there's two different numbers we're talking about. One is your September 30th enrollment count, and then this is actually an October 30th date for your free and reduced. So these are two different numbers, but both numbers are used in the formulas to how we get funded. And we are absolutely down in enrollment. This past year, we were able to use a 3-year rolling average, which made it kind of so that it held us harmless and didn't necessarily negatively impact our budget. But in moving forward, that has not been the case. And we are definitely advocating for the state to evaluate these two formulas and hold us, harmless for at least one more year to see if we can get enrollments back up in both of the categories. We did do an outreach. Mr. Pinder and his staff did everything from phone calls to personal calls to flyers to emails to try to encourage parents to get online and or do an application paper pencil. And we just still didn't have the numbers that we had the previous year. So we're working on it as a group of superintendents and as the group of CFOs Mrs. Towers is a part of. We are both advocating in those groups to make sure that we hold numbers harmless for at least one more year, but we don't know, so stay tuned, kind of,
I mean, it's when you're talking millions of dollars.
We're talking millions of dollars.
And when,
So every student, for enrollment purposes, is about $16,000. And so if you have a drop in enrollment of 350 students times 16,000, you can see how quickly that impacts your budget.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
Student Board Member Jackson.
Yeah. So at Ken Island, it's been a really exciting time. We just concluded our fall sports season. Our season unfortunately ended with a loss against Frederick Douglass, but I think we ended the season 10-1. That was our only loss. We had a great football season. As we said before, there's a dance concert tonight at the high school. There's also going to be a band and choir concert on the 15th of December. There's rehearsals underway for The Little Mermaid. I think it was just recently cast. Our winter sports are now underway, and the COVID testing system that we have for that is going really well. As mentioned before, we had the canned food drive where we got about 4,600 cans. We also had a blood drive through Blood Bank of Delmarva, and I think we had like our highest participation ever, so that was definitely a large success. The marching band is going to be in the parade in Centerville this Friday. Mr. Barnum is the new assistant principal at the Annex, and he's settled in and everyone likes him. And in addition to the colleges that I've been consistently visiting, we are going to have a trade fair.
Oh, nice.
Good.
Yep, that's all I've got.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jackson.
We have a few things going on in Queen Anne's County. Tonight at 7, we have the band and choir students perform for the winter concert. Then our dancers will perform for our annual winter dance concert at the summer 15th at 7 p.m. Both of these will be held in the auditorium. Spring musical auditions have begun, and the musical will be James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, yay.
This Friday, December 3rd, we will have the Student of the Month ceremony. And also this Friday is the popular Christmas parade. This year's theme is a gingerbread house Christmas. Interim reports to parents will be emailed on December 10th. And students who participated in the PSAT on October 26th should be receiving their scores the week of December 6th. They can access that through their College Board accounts. Winter sports practice has begun, and starting December 6th, our first week of competition. And lastly, we have our holiday break coming from December 23rd to January 2nd. And for our winter sports, we had our second basketball scrimmage yesterday. We won, and then we have our wrestling scrimmage tonight. I'm pretty sure it's starting at 7 down near Snow Hill, I think.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I know you have something going on Ken Island. You have something going on Queen Anne's. If you all stay as late as you feel, or if you decide to get out and want to go back to schools or do something, feel free to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, our next is citizen comments.
Sure. Okay, we ask all speakers to keep in mind the following guidelines. Speakers should sign the roster including their name, number, and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. Questions or statements to the board should relate to a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Comments about the actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comment, and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or the board president. If you do have specific questions, the board will make sure an appropriate staff member responds to your question. The board respects your desire and your right to convey your message freely, but asks as a courtesy to this board and our citizens that you show respect for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we had somebody move up. Karen Fields. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Karen Fields. I am the president of the Queen Anne County Education Association, and I'm a teacher at Centerville Middle School. The picture you saw of the faculty-student kickball game, the students won. I just had to say that. And I personally always root for the students. So on behalf of the association, I wish everyone a safe and healthy new year. As we approach 2022, we all wish that COVID was in the rearview mirror, but unfortunately, it is not. We have all been dealing with a rolling 18-month crisis with repercussions for our students, our staff, and our community. I thank Dr. Salins for listening to our suggestion for the option of virtual PD. Having that choice will make a difference in the morale of all staff. I also thank her for presenting a revised schedule that built in additional half-days for all staff and students at the last board meeting. The parent survey results show the majority of parents that completed the survey support those additional half-days. Parents know that their children need these days as well. It is my understanding that the survey sent to staff crashed because the system was overwhelmed with responses. This speaks volumes in itself. Retention and recruitment of all staff is of great concern. QACTV will continue to work with our members, administrators, Dr. Salins, and the board to create a sustainable workload and a working environment where hard work and dedication is appreciated, respected, and rewarded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie?
Good evening. I am Stephanie Anthony. I live in Centerville. I'm a teacher at Kennard Elementary School, the mom of 2 school-aged kids in the county, and also secretary of the Teachers Union. I'm hoping that the results of the survey I'm hoping with the results of the survey that the vote to amend the calendar will be a no-brainer. Regardless, I still feel compelled to speak tonight after seeing how much reluctance there was from this board at the last meeting to approve it. When we need medical advice, we seek advice from the medical professionals, pediatricians, primary cares. We need legal advice, we seek legal advice from a lawyer. So why is it that when we need information about what the students of this county need or what the teachers need, our first response is to go to the stakeholders? This is where I struggle when it comes to some of the voting that occurs with this board. Maybe it's because you do not understand what is done each and every day in the life of a teacher. So collectively with my colleagues, I made a list. We communicate with parents about behavior concerns, complete checklists for pediatricians, grade papers, input data for supervisors and specialists, return phone calls, return emails, collaborate with teammates, modify lesson plans to fit the needs of each individual student, gather resources, purchase resources, make copies, prepare items for students in quarantine, watch PD videos, meet with administrators and supervisors to discuss feedback, troubleshoot Chromebook issues, that's my personal favorite, stay connected with SPED teachers to analyze student progress, and stay connected with guidance counselors on social and emotional needs. This is only 15 out of the over 40 that made the list collectively by teachers at all levels, because 3 minutes isn't enough to share what we do. But I still wanted to clarify one thing that I think gets lost in translation, that all of those items on our to-do list have to be completed during 1 hour a day, during my prep time, because, well, the rest of the hours I'm teaching. I do not get the entire workday to accomplish my duties. I get 1 hour a day. So for those of you that are more of a mathematical brain, let me put this into perspective with a number. We average 24 students per class at KES. This means with my 60 minutes of prep time, I get roughly 2.5 minutes per child a day. Just 2.5 minutes. See, teaching is an art, but it does not come without preparation and reflection if you want to do it well. So please give us grace when we say that these half days are needed by staff and by your students, because they deserve more than 2.5 minutes a day. Teachers are not perfect. We are not machines. We need compassion just like our students do, and that's okay. And it's also okay for this elected board to reach out to us, conversate with us, and see how we feel about what is needed, because we are very much the professionals in the field of education. And we are kind people who would love to chat with you about what goes on in our classrooms. By the way, this allotted 3 minutes to speak is more than the amount of time I get to prepare adequate and meaningful instruction for each child that walks through my door each and every day. With that data alone, is there any question of whether those half days are appropriate? I would love to conversate with any of you longer about any of the things that are done on a daily basis or how things are going in the classroom. You can always reach out. I'm sure that a lot of my other colleagues feel the same way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wait a second. Is that
That's right.
Janet?
I'm glad the police is here.
There's a reason we have them here today.
I might need it.
Janet Pauls, 106 Willis Road, Centerville, Maryland. Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, and executive team. It is my pleasure tonight to come here and welcome Ms. Shannon Bett. I did not have the opportunity to attend the swearing in because I was busy on a committee with Mr. Mon in the back and working on what we were going to do with this new building. But I've had the opportunity to know Ms. Bett for several years and work with her, and I know that she is a very great candidate for the board. I just want to know that we support you and we're here for you and we welcome you. And to each and every one, have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We know she'd like to work with you.
Not to tell Mason that I saw you. Sorry.
Samuel Mitchell?
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Mitchell. I'm a teacher at Graysonville Elementary School, and I also serve on the executive board of our professional association. My colleagues spoke so beautifully and completely. This is a very kind of emotional statement for me because this is my reaction to some of the comments that were made at the previous board meeting. I rolled a lot of things around in my head, but I kept coming back to this theme of time. Dr. Salins had proposed adjustments to our professional development days by providing a virtual option, and I just want to say personally, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. It has had a very positive impact on me. However, there were some comments made about teachers working beyond their duty day to complete progress reports. Like that was okay, and I don't think it's okay to expect that from us. I think it's wrong to assume or expect that we would put our own lives and families on a back burner. My students are important, but I have personal responsibilities as well. Sometimes I wonder if that is kind of our fault because we're kind of caring, giving people. That's kind of a trademark of teachers, but I think that as the world has changed, that we need to evolve with it. And if one thing that I've learned from COVID is that those boundaries and those lines are really important. If the task is important, then time should be given for that task to be completed. Dr. Salins suggested amending the calendar with additional half-days. It was prefaced with a very clear concern for the well-being of professionals and students. Some of the reactions to that proposal I found incredibly disheartening. Things like, I'm not a fan of half-days, it'll be hard on parents because they will have to find daycare. When commenting on the survey, something to the effect, it's probably not going to change my mind, but I'm willing to listen to anybody but. How could I be made to feel less respected? The comment that we're not the only ones suffering from the pandemic is true, but the board is the body that has oversight of me and my coworkers. If you don't already know, if you cannot imagine how traumatized and exhausted we are, then you're not listening. And to Stephanie's point, talk to us. We are open to that conversation. I think that's what leadership is that exchange. You have a responsibility, I think, to understand all of us, from 12-month employees to 10-month employees, nurses, part-time employees, custodians, teachers. The list goes on of people for whom you have oversight, and hopefully will extend that care. We need help. We need relief. Our students need help. Our students need relief. And thankfully, based on the results of the surveys, the families in this community recognize that. We appreciate their support of the addition of the half-days to this calendar. We hope that you will include them, because something has to give us back some time so that we can continue to do what we love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, did I have this right? Okay.
I don't know, I think it's Mark. Oh, no. He's our next presentation. Neil. He didn't know.
speak if you want.
He's going to speak, but he's...
Keep you for 3 minutes.
Happy holidays, guys.
Do I have anybody else?
Happy holidays.
That would like to speak? Hearing none, okay, thank you. Hey, Dr. Salins, the COVID metrics?
Yes. So Dr. Kipler is bringing that chart up, but I'm sure the board has had an opportunity to review that. This is just, again, the ongoing opportunity. I know you get this daily. Sometimes it's really good to look at something, all put together in one slide so that you can see the progression here. We were doing pretty good prior to this, and now it seems that we're kind of creeping back up, and so that's a little disheartening, but we're doing what we do best in schools, and we're continuing to use good mitigation strategies. When things were looking brighter, we started to bring in volunteers to our school. That has been successful. It has not increased any type of spread within the schools, so we've been pleased with that. We're continuing to try to layer in some of that normal back to students, and we are honestly not seeing that those layers are resulting in any type of additional spread within the building. I'll give you another example. School lockers. These secondary folks have been working with their staff to get students back in some sort of rotation, because we're getting into a colder season. Students are wearing coats. That's very difficult to, have your backpack and your winter coat with you and such. So we've been moving into having students on a rotating basis and creating different plans of action to be able to have students safely use their lockers. And again, we haven't noticed that has increased any type of spread within the buildings, because we're continuing to use those good mitigation strategies. So the numbers kind of speak for themselves, but it's just always good to kind of at least have a touch point to just visually see what that progression is over the course of the last, 10 to 15 days.
I'd like to ask, do we have any students currently hospitalized, or have we?
Actually, we did have a student who was in intensive care, but is now been released, was not here locally, obviously, or over the bridge, and has some pretty significant long-term recovery, I think, ahead. But to my knowledge, that's the only student at this point, and they have been released from the hospital.
One question. Watching the Maryland State Department of Education meeting today, and one of the members, Mr. Sharp, what was his name, Mr. Bartley, he was saying something about using student data as opposed to just county data. But is that even possible to get student information about new cases and stuff as opposed to just county-wide?
The health department does get that breakdown, I believe, through Dr. Ciatola. I believe because he can tell me school age wise. So I think they use the indicator from 18 and under as a school age. And so I think he could probably provide that information. If that's something the board would like me to pursue, I'd be happy to do that.
I don't know if anybody else does, but I think it would be nice to see those, if it's easy to provide without providing them. I don't want to do any extra work for anybody, but if he puts them together, I would like to see.
I certainly will ask him. Carrie will help remind me to follow up with Dr. Ciatola. Sure, absolutely.
I don't want to put a tempest in a teapot, but the Baltimore Sun just put out The State Board of Education calls for off-ramp option to lifting school masking, or what?
Been notified of anything.
Nothing.
Well, the off-ramp that's an interesting
Well, that's what they just put out.
verbiage. No, I heard it throughout the whole meeting today is keeping that emergency regulation along with having some off-ramps available if you hit certain numbers. But that was part of what Mr. Bartley was saying should it be county-wide or should it be student-wide,
Right.
your school? So it was an interesting meeting.
I think the philosophy is, though, that that the students, they don't want to spread it, obviously, in the schools because they could take it home to someone at home who would be of elderly age or someone who could be compromised. And I think that was the original philosophy. Now, whether that has changed or not, as again, I'm not a healthcare provider, but I think that was the original philosophy. But as I said, in schools, I feel that we've done a great job of continuing so many practices that, and in sports, we haven't had, we had briefly, we had 2 teams we shut down for a brief period of time early on in the process of the school year, and very thankful that at this time we have not had a team be a source of like a spread. Right. So I think that, again, people are extremely respectful. I think the coaches and teachers have been amazing, all staff members really, everybody from cleaning the high-touch areas frequently through the day to making sure that students are, as well as can be socially distanced in a cafeteria and such. I think everybody's kind of really pulled in a team effort to make that happen.
How's the quarantine going? Is that getting less for students or?
It is. And a little bit of that is because we haven't had as many positives, but also because we changed the quarantining as of November 1. And so that helped as well. We still are, though, having to quarantine, and most of those are coming from your lunch areas where students have to obviously not have a mask on in order to eat. And a lot of times in our schools, we're not able to 100% 6 foot or more to socially distance, just because indoors we're not, don't have the capacity to do that. But certainly, as I said, at the high school level, and middle school level where we've had the tents, I mean, they've really enjoyed that. I mean, I almost see like there's some things from COVID that I think will just be a permanent thing. And I think that it has been just an added positive addition to those schools. And I think that we would, continue that even after we don't need to quote unquote socially distance like we are right now.
I was out running today and ran by Ken Island and Bayside, and it was right during recess, and it was just such a joy to see them all just running around and playing. And
it was a beautiful day. We've been very lucky and blessed with some good weather so that we can keep students out as long as possible. I've been out to the schools. I've seen teachers taking classes outside and just doing a break with kids, and it is just refreshing and delightful to see students be able to be kids.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, 8:02, safety update. Lieutenant?
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good evening, sir.
Lieutenant Mark Mill from the Sheriff's Department. I have a few brief remarks. I'll be brief. Dr. Salines, board members, on behalf of Sheriff Hoffman and the entire staff of the Queen Anne County Sheriff's Department, thank you for including our agency in this meeting today. It is a privilege being here to provide updates for the Sheriff's Office Resource Unit. Dr. Salines, I wish to convey to you a personal message from Sheriff Hoffman and our staff regarding how much we appreciate the support, the partnership, cooperation, and communication that our two agencies share daily. Your administration has proven to be very transparent in this relationship, and we thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would first like to provide an update on the school bus enforcement program that we started this past year. It's running smoothly and efficiently at this point. In the beginning, we had a few hiccups, but it's going really well. Over the past 30 days, our office reviewed 154 citations. We are averaging approximately 15 to 20 citations per day for review. From the beginning of the school year up to today, there have been 378 citations reviewed. And these are violations that come through the system for us to look at.
And when you say that, that's somebody running red lights on a school bus?
Correct. We are seeing at times some concerns. When we review the videos, we do see some issues where personnel who are driving vehicles near the buses are driving at high rates of speed. We have seen some instances where they drive at high rates of speeds nonstop near bus stops. We ask that citizens please slow down, pay attention, and stop when appropriate to allow our students to safely enter and exit off the buses. Another issue of note, not directly related to the school bus enforcement program, but it's something that we've seen an increase in recently, is the transports of students by parents to and from school due to various reasons. Our office has taken steps to work with Mr. Sid Pinder on this issue to alleviate the traffic congestion concerns at various schools. We have discussed options in various ways to mitigate these issues, such as the traffic flagger program, deploying our auxiliary volunteer deputies to assist when available, and providing additional deputies to perform traffic control to alleviate congestion as best as possible. One of our primary goals, obviously, is to ensure students get into and out of school facilities as safely and efficiently as possible. Our office continues to provide the best possible service we can daily to ensure the safety and welfare of all county citizens, as well as students, faculty, staff within the Board of Education properties. In closing, I wish to again thank Dr. Salins and the board today for your continued support and cooperation with our staff. We appreciate you all and the excellent working relationships that we have together. I have open for questions if you have any.
That number amazes me. Is that a statewide thing? Do we have numbers? Or that's pretty amazing.
These are countywide numbers, and it's just from the beginning of the school year. So, but it is pretty alarming. And I hope with our public messaging getting out to the community that they really pay attention and realize that they're putting lives at risk.
And these people are getting citations and goes on their driver's or car like you would a speed camera.
Yes, when a violation occurs, it goes on the owner of the vehicle's driver record, and they're responsible for the payment. The owner of the vehicle is. Okay. There's no points assessed, but there is a heavy fine.
Yeah. Is there any? If we find repeat places, is there times we can, if we see it happening at one place all the time, can we get a deputy or somebody there to actually get the right person? If that's,
It's a great question. We do work closely with the vendor who operates the system, and they do provide those reports to us, and we can aggressively enforce certain locations within the county that we see an increase in violations. So we're in constant communication with them daily.
Place and time.
I'm sorry?
Place and time. There's got to be, could be
locations and date and times. If we see a rise in, say, North County location, we can pinpoint that spot and time frame and get up there and aggressively enforce it as well.
And the other thing, I think, we've heard this thing of Michigan. We've been very fortunate across the United States recently. But people need to communicate, and they need to get, if parents or students have an issue, there are eyes and ears. You guys do a great job, but they need to tell the principal or whoever's in charge, the teacher, to make sure that, because they can get in touch with you guys immediately, get a hold of Sid and have their, and that's, we need to be very diligent to find out, to make sure that, we're aware, so, we know what's going on around our surroundings to portray it to you, so we have a safe community.
Absolutely, and actually our public information officer has received tips from community members who see violations. I guess they're unaware that it's being caught on the video, but they still contact our office as well, and we follow up with that with the vendor and also with eyes on location with the violations.
I as just one board member, can certainly thank you all for what you do, your deputies that are in there, our school system, and a working relationship in our, I call it a small community, 50,000 people, but compared to some, you guys, it's a great partnership, and we appreciate what you do, and I know the public does too.
We thank you all very much as well, and the public's been great as well, so we appreciate them.
Any members?
No, nothing.
We appreciate it. Have a nice Christmas.
Yeah. Holidays. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Okay, our next is 803, Advanced Placement Program, Policy 602.
So, President Smith, just, I know that we had some questions about the policy committee, and so I'd like to speak to that if that's okay with you. So apparently in the past we've had a policy committee, and we've lacked the Citizens Advisory Council, which really is a COMA regulation. And so my recommendation to the board was to really kind of put that policy committee on pause so that we can get back and realign ourselves to the COMAR regulation, which is to create that CAC. And then in addition to that, create a school system improvement council, which would be representative from every school, a certified staff member from every school, as well as the union, as well as a representative from the Administrators and Supervisors Association. So those two groups would essentially absorb that opportunity to review your policy. So you get a much broader perspective of eyes on it, and I think those a better recommendation and kind of informational items that could come to the board when you have a larger group taking an opportunity to walk through the policy. This policy obviously did not go, these recommendations for changes did not go through a quote unquote policy committee. As we're trying to get that up and running for the springtime, this went through the executive team. So it did get eyes on it. These are recommendations, and I clearly want the board to understand that, there's multiple readings for board members, and that's because it gives the board an opportunity to ask questions, to get answers to those questions, to make recommendations for changes to staff. And we appreciate that process, and I don't want you to think that we don't appreciate that, we don't want that feedback, but I ask that since this is kind of my first year and we're trying to kind of realign some things that maybe needed to be realigned, that we have through the spring to get those committees up and running, and that from that point forward, they would serve as a very good resource and sounding board for board members as it relates to policy changes. And so while it's a little bit jumbled right now, I ask for your patience, and certainly if you have questions or concerns about this tonight, we can take that feedback and come back to the table. I don't want you to feel pressured that you have to approve this evening, but I do think it's clean, and so I'll stop there and let you go ahead and describe the changes here and articulate them for the board. So unless the board has questions.
One thing on that. Do they keep minutes of these meetings?
Yes.
Would it be available for the board to get copies of those minutes? So
Absolutely.
So then every board member would see what's up and in the system, running down the pike. Even though I completely agree, we have 3 readings of it. There's plenty of time to digest it, look at it, but I'd also like to have the minutes so we can see if something's on the ground, how it's going or something. And as board would then get to you, and if they have any questions on it.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, how that works is that the board members actually make recommendations for the CAC of people in the community that they feel would be a good person to, be able to look at and review policy. Principals make recommendations for the CAC that would be included in the, such as a PTA person, so you get kind of this diverse group there. Certainly a board member can choose to sit on that if they would like to. For the SSIC, those, as I said, would be recommendations through the school. All of those would have a roster where people would sign in, so you would know who was in attendance for the meeting, and then there would be a series of minutes that would be actually logged in and kept in an archive. So all that information would be available to the board at any time.
Does the board also have, on that issue, have any questions? No. Thank you.
So I do. I see, thank you very much for sticking to the format that was designed over 4 years ago. Thank you for that. Is this in keeping with the state line? This is lining up to the state policy for the AP. Right. So I see the date back of 2009. I'm sure so many things have happened.
Well, so I will do all the formalities first so that we're on.
Hello, Ms. Passon.
Okay, yes, hello. Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, members of the board and the executive team. For the record, my name is Bridget Passon. My primary role with the county is as the English Language Arts Supervisor for grades 3 through 12, but I am here tonight as a policy writer. So, Ms. Harper, you bring up a good point. And if for some of you this policy seems a little bit like deja vu, it is. Because I started work on it about this time last year, and I brought it to you as a new policy, and then learned after the first read that it was actually a revision from 2009. But so many other things were happening that we were working through and with virtual learning and COVID that this kind of got delayed. And as Dr. Salins just explained, we are working to recalibrate how policies make their way to you. But we found this one, or so we hope to be nice and clean, and we'd really like to get it on the record. So this is the Advanced Placement Programs Policy 602. The revisions include language that are more inclusive for all students. students, not just college-bound students, as the 2009 version of it indicate. And you can see the different things that we crossed out, kind of take out that antiquated language and open it to students no matter whether they're college or career-bound. The benefits of an AP program, of an AP course, and our goal to have every student take one based on strength, academic strength, or their own interest. So we hope that these revisions, Ms. Harper, as you pointed out, yes, we're still in keeping that cross out and then write the new information in red. And some of this language, I think, Ms. Bennett, I think you caught something in policy element 1A that we had some language to work on, and we fixed that. So that's here so that it is more inclusive. I think that's what we had to change when we were working on it last fall. So if you have any revisions or things you want us to think about or consider or additional language, I'm happy to take those questions or edits or revisions now.
So there's only so many AP teachers, right? And so many slots for AP classes. And if we're going to encourage all students to take them just for interest or whatever, do we expect that there's going to be room for all the college-bound students that do want to participate in these AP classes?
We do, and we've actually been looking at scheduling, and some of the courses have been, honestly, traditionally, I'm not quite sure how it got this way, but like a year-long course where they're actually being awarded 2 AP credits, which is against the COMAR regs. And so we really have to look at that and cohort that out. And so knowing that, then that's going to open up multiple opportunities to add AP courses when you're not looking at a year-long experience. Now, there are some courses that we will do year-long where they'll get an elective credit and an AP credit paired together, but those are far and few between, and they're based on the extensive content load within the course, and most of those would fall into your science categories.
All right. Ms. Passons, I started that question looking at you, and I ended up looking at her. Yeah, so if you have anything to add, please.
No, I agree with what Dr. Salen said, and we're seeing enrollment that we need to bolster the enrollment in our AP courses. We're competing with lots of great programs, and so this language gives us a platform to do heavier recruiting, things that the different supervisors are doing in their middle and their other courses in high school to get students ready for the rigor and pace of an AP class are also so important as well. So as long as we are able to have a say in it, there will be room for everyone in our AP courses, and there's plenty of room to invite students who haven't typically tried out an AP course.
Sure. Okay.
And you'll see that the AP courses now are really winding and blending nicely into some of our CTE courses, which traditionally people don't think of. They think of a CTE course as something that wouldn't be an advanced placement, but many of those courses, bio and engineering, computer science, they all have a level of AP courses in them. So we've actually really been able to expand that out more so. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to encourage more students to participate, because some of our AP courses, they don't have a big caseload for the teachers. So they might, we try to keep the threshold at 10, to be honest with you. Sometimes it dips slightly below in some of your very advanced classes, but there's an opportunity to grow there, right? So if you have 10, you can grow to 12, 15.
Significant increase, right?
Yes.
You can increase staff and, as appropriate and capable. So.
Yeah, so we're very excited about the opportunities that I think the AP will bring to us.
Excellent.
I had a question on where it seemed like some of the stuff that was taken out was the measurables. So we talked about the weighted, so the weighted grade is coming out, and it just says advanced placement will be weighted to reflect the academic rigor of these courses. What does that mean exactly?
So I think the last time I was here with policy and regulations. So all of that explanation is in the regulations that accompany that, but the weighted grade means that advanced placement will be rated to reflect the academic rigor of the course. When you go into the regs, it explains how it has to do with quality points. So an A in an AP class will get 5 quality points, whereas an A in a regular course would get 4. And it's slowly, and it works backwards. So
I'm going to open up a whole nother can of worms and go, as a parent of a past student, when are we going to start allowing general ed have one level of points, then you have AP, and then in the middle you have Yeah. So when are we going to allow them to be weighted differently?
Well, we've just begun those discussions, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a lot of different philosophies and thought patterns behind that. I mean, certainly, one of the arguments is you have a student who's taking a dual enrollment course, which is a college course, and then you have a student taking AP. The AP is weighted, but the dual enrollment's not. So those are some things that, we have to have discussions.
Honors, and then you have honors classes, which aren't weighted.
Yeah. So,
Not weighted
an honors
differently.
class to me is more of a prep class to prepare and kind of gather some skill sets to go into an AP class. That's kind of the way I look at it. So I don't know about those necessarily, but if you have a college course, at what point do you look at a student is getting college credit for this course? As an AP student, they're getting college credit for this course, and how is that equal? And it is quite a discussion that I think the high school committee will have. I think that it's going to take us several meetings to get through, kind of pulling all those philosophies together to determine what's in the best interest of kids overall.
I've only been bringing this up for probably 10, 12 years because as you know, Montgomery County and Howard County, they weigh everything differently. So, you can't, there's no it's apples to oranges.
And I think that we have to recognize too that our students are different. Some thrive in an AP environment, some thrive in a dual enrollment, and they're very different environments. And so, we have to recognize the differences of our students, and then we have to really think about how do we make sure that we're equitable and fair across the board. So, again, there's lots of philosophies out there. Lots of districts do it different ways, and we need to pull all that data together and really kind of look at it and see what everybody else does, and then kind of determine what's best for us, what's best for our kids. It's going to be a hard process.
Well, at least
The can's already open, Ms. Harper. It's open. The can was already open.
Yes.
So we know it's.
You're tired of hearing me say it.
No, we know.
No, that's a good point, though. I
Yes,
have
it
to
is.
admit, it's a very, very good point that needs to be worked through.
And then I had one other question, which is just on F. It says the board recognizes that we should provide appropriate staff development for teachers of AP courses. What does that look like? When you guys were writing that, what did that look like to you?
So the College Board offers AP Summer Institutes. So it's important that we not only capitalize on those, but that we have funding to pay for them, and then that we're monitoring the learning that they do in the AP institutes. So for instance, with good professional development, if we're paying for them to take a week-long course in how to teach AP English Literature and Composition, that we're going in to visit the class and asking them what they're applying and what do they take from that institute, so that we know that there was application from the learning that they did.
Thank you.
They actually have to get a certification, just for your knowledge. Like, they have to be AP certified in order to teach the course. That's College
And your
Board.
syllabus as well. You have to, your syllabus has to be
it's
ready.
actually very structured, very strict, and very good. I think it's the professional development in the summer is very challenging.
Yes.
And I think our staff members do very well with that. But making sure we have the funding to
Yes,
because they do
always.
updates, they have to do so many updates and everything. So I think it's a very good and solid programming piece of things. Thanks.
I know after the first reading, we put it on our public website for public comment,
Right, we do that tomorrow. It'll go out for public comment.
and then we can see what comments we get and look at it and stuff like that.
And then I'll come back to you in a month, and we'll see whatever comments there were.
This page here, I see it every time. It's a nice page.
I think that's part of what we're working on.
Yes.
Okay, you're working on doing
Page
this.
I
You're trying
did,
to-
yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're trying
Thank you.
to streamline this process into something that's very valuable.
gotcha.
Yes.
Any other questions by the board?
No.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you so
everybody.
much.
Happy holidays. Take good
Happy
care.
holidays.
We're going to,
Jane Towers.
that's okay, I was just going to say we're going to 8.05.
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salem, board members. Tonight, we bring before you for information the expenditure status reports, both the summary and detail for your review for period 5 in November. Any questions?
Oh, Mike. Right now, energy's going up. It's fallen down this week, but no telling what's going to happen. And we're turning we're turning our air over more in our schools. Do we anticipate any adverse effect to this budget because of that? Well, I mean, fuel card, I guess we're locked into a lot of fuel cost.
We're locked into the fuel costs, but I will tell you that since school has started running the extra hours before and after to basically cleanse the air, you're seeing anywhere from 26,000 extra kilowatt hours. I've seen up to 50,000 based upon the temperature of the outside and also
50,000 a month?
50,000 kilowatts, yes. I mean, you think about it, our average electric bill for an elementary school is about anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000. Middle school is about $10,000 to $15,000, and in a high school can go anywhere from $18,000 to $24,000. So you add those 2 extra hours on, you're adding a lot of time. I used to have it broken down to 15-minute increments, but I can't remember what it is. But
I mean,
yes, we'll see some more, sir.
And the colder it gets, the worse it's going to get.
Yes.
I mean, are we going to have a problem in February or March, or you don't know yet?
We won't know based upon, if you have a polar vortex or something like that, yeah.
But I mean, just being the 2 hours over to me sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Basically, I'm thinking it back now. Basically, for every 15 minutes for an entire year that we run all the schools, it equals up to about $25,000. So you're talking $200,000 extra on top of that, at least.
At least. That's if we stay on a normal year.
Because basically, of all the conservation measures, we've thrown out the window, literally.
Were we able to use any funds, any grant monies for this since?
This might be an opportunity to look at our COVID funds for that because it does address the pandemic.
Okay. And then I know that the commissioners, I think, they enrolled in that Next AMP. It's a solar farm thing. Is that something that they did just for the county, or are we included?
Actually,
in part of
I just received an email the other day from that company. I haven't spoken to them, but we do have a solar field at Queen Anne's County High School that feeds Centerville Middle School, Queen Anne's County High School, and then also we're able to net meter with Kent Island High School. Graysonville Elementary School has solar. There's a small rooftop unit on Kent Island and a small one on top of Sellersville Middle School. But
yeah, I don't think that this was the solar on our property.
no, this is where you can purchase it. Yes, through net metering.
And it supposedly saves the 10%.
Right.
So
We are fortunate to be in Ethnic Energy Trust. I don't know if you want to go into more detail about that, or we've been in that for several years.
Basically, the Esmic Energy Trust, you're purchasing blocks of energy at certain prices, trying to get the best deal based upon the quantity purchased among the Eastern Shore Board of Educations and also Chesapeake College and a few towns and counties involved in that.
okay. Yeah, I don't think it affects it. I think it's on top
In addition,
of.
okay.
But I'm glad that they sent something, because I do think it's on top of all of your co-ops, your cooperatives and stuff. So
We'll research it for sure. Thank you.
thanks, Ed. Thanks,
Any
Jane.
board members have any other questions? Thank you, Jane.
All right, she's staying up there.
No, she's up there next time.
I will, one more thing to bring.
Up, okay, ESER 2 breakdown, gotcha.
Yes. This is the breakdown of ESER 2 and ESER 3 expenditures for your review. And if you can remember, ESER 2 is tied to your PPE, social distancing. ESER 3 is really targeting that learning loss.
And that will run our summer school next year and things of that nature.
Correct.
I hear nothing but praise about how Queen Anne's County, which then would be you, taking the lead on just how we report this stuff, how we are accountable. Very impressive that you keep us on point.
Thank you. We have a great grant specialist, too, that's amazing.
The board members have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you've had time. We have time to review our human resource and substitute bus drivers report.
Mr. Smith, point of order. Are we going to take a break, or are we going to?
I say move on, but you.
I say take a break. I need to get this mask on.
We'll take a break.
Thank you.
I'll take a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
Only 10 minutes. Take a break.
officers.
Welcome back to our school board meeting for this evening. Our next item will be an action item, 1001, Human Resource Subsidy Bus Driver Report. Everybody's had a chance to review that.
Yes.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to accept the Human Resources and Student Bus Driver Report as presented in closed session?
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. 1002, health policy, school health policy. Matt?
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, members of the board executive team. For the record, my name is Matt Evans, Supervisor of Student Services. I have before you this evening the school health policy number 531. This was just an update to reflect that the school health coordinator, which was employed by the Queen Anne's County Health Department, is now the school health supervisor employed by Queen Anne's County Public Schools. The changes were just to reflect that change.
Anybody have any questions on this? Have a motion?
Oh, yes, actually.
This is whole scope policy 531.
So the motion needs to be to accept the changes in the policy.
And like you said, it's just changing it from the state to school-based.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Smith, I make a motion to accept the changes in the school health policy 531 as presented by Mr. Evans.
Second.
A motion second. Any further discussion? All those here say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
1003, Gears 2 grant.
Good afternoon, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Michael Page, and I'm a curriculum supervisor. And I also have with me tonight Ms. Carla Poulin for any questions in regards to facilities. Today, we are looking for approval of a contract with Becker Morgan Group to provide professional services to develop a prototype outdoor classroom, recommend site locations and considerations for constructing the prototype, and electrical configuration and requirements at 14 of our Queen Anne's County schools. The physical impact is $76,000. This was budgeted for through a grant, the Governor's Emergency Educational Relief 2 funds, and we are seeking your approval tonight. If you have any questions,
This is a proposal to have our 14 schools looked at and what would be outside classrooms.
Correct.
We come up with this plan, then what?
So this, and I would look to you for a little bit more in regards to this, but this is to develop, to review all the sites to make sure that where we're going to put these outdoor classrooms is appropriate, that it is.
We'll prepare the construction documents to allow us to do a competitive bid for all 14 sites, and that will get the ball rolling for the construction.
Okay, where's that money coming from?
From the grant.
From the grant.
Not in this grant?
So all of the funds that we're asking for are already in the Gears 2 grant that we
This is
received.
for planning.
Yes.
Correct, which is part of the grant.
It's part of the grant.
Yes.
And then we're going to do 14 possible locations each school. What is that going to cost? I know you don't know exactly yet, but is it going to cost $10 or $2 million?
We don't know yet. And based on the supply chain issues, based on what's happening in the current construction market, we don't know. We are concerned that we'll be able to do all 14 buildings at the same time. Part of the reason to go through the planning process and to have these documents designed is so that if The funding only allows us to do 10 schools. We already have the plans to go back at a later time and do the additional schools. If we're not able to add the electric component initially, it's already designed, so at a later time, we could request funding. We'd be able to go back and add that component.
So just to be clear, though, the money to actually build them is part of the grant as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So how did we come up with Becker Morgan Group to do the RFP or whatever?
Yes. So Becker Morgan Group is one of 5 that hold an indefinite quantity contract with us. So several years ago, we bid an RFP. We put out an RFP and did a bid and selected 5 different groups that we would be able to go to for architect and engineering services. As long as the contract is under $100,000, it allows us to pull with those 5 groups. So we requested pricing from all 5, 4 submitted, and then we took a look at who had given us the best price.
What's the intent of this outdoor classroom?
So the intent came, so if we take a step back in terms of where we were when this grant opportunity came out, this was in the heart of COVID when we were shut down. The intent had several things. It was to provide an additional classroom outside of our brick and mortar schools to get the students outside, get them fresh air, be able to conduct a classroom outside. It also was written into the grant that we could utilize those sites for distribution of items, so people weren't having to come into our schools. It could be utilized for, like I said, for COVID relief type items, distribution of lunches, and so on. So there are multifaceted ways that we could utilize these sites, but the main purpose was an additional instructional site outside for students to utilize.
And not necessarily to replace like the portals that are outside, portables that are outside some of our schools?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No, these are open areas outside, so basically providing a shade and maybe some, like we said, like a screen or electrical outlet so that you can actually have a classroom outdoors.
So like our tent that we're at the school, we're doing outside dining.
Yeah, and that was an additional thing, item written into the grant was that if it's essentially to expand our schools, to give another opportunity for us to take students outside. They could be utilized for that purpose if needed, absolutely.
Is that very similar to the high school's outdoor?
Yeah, exactly.
How did we come up with that design?
That was a tent.
Right, they're tents right now.
Oh, right, so we weren't.
It's not a permanent structure, this would be a permanent structure.
Correct.
And it's going to be like a la carte or menu where they're going to give us some proposals of each school. If we can only do 10, we do 10. If we don't do electric, but we know how to run electric, or maybe put the conduit in something, whatever we have to do. So it could come back to this board to make that decision on schools and what we find is the most highest, and with Dr. Salen's the best value we find to utilize.
Correct. We would prioritize the sites. We would also look at what bids come in for construction, see where we are in terms of funding and so on.
And it really aligns, our school district is, I think, one of 2 in the state that are all green, all schools are green schools. This adds to that. And obviously, kudos to you for seeking out the funding. This was one award of very small amounts that were given out through the state of Maryland. And it really is just an extension of a classroom opportunity outside for students. And fits nice with our science program to be able to get kids outdoors and explore and experiment and those types of things. So it's good all the way around that the money's coming for a given purpose, but we're going to be able to have multifacets to use it with. And again, because the market is obviously very strained right now, if we can't do all 14 like we had originally thought, we'll have to prioritize and do that. But then additional funding may come up for other things. I mean, the supervisors are very good about getting out there and looking at grant opportunities and applying for competitive grants.
And this will be put out to get back at what time? When will we get reports from this?
That was going to be my question.
So
What's the timeline on their study? How long are we going to allow them? How long do they have? Because I don't see it anywhere in this contract.
We would like to be able to have these ready for bid in the March-April timeframe so that we can start working on construction. Some of that is also indicative of what the grant says. We don't have an infinite timeline to spend
That's
the
another
grant. So we
question I
want to
had
make
is
sure.
what,
The grant.
they give you a minute, a little bit of time to get things done.
Yep.
The grant finalizes, I believe it's September 1 of
2022.
2023.
Oh, wow.
September 30th of 23.
Oh, wow.
Have a
That's
little
long
bit of time,
So
but
we
we
do
want
have
to go as
time,
quickly
and
as
That's to
possible.
implement, do this and the spending of the money. Oh,
Correct.
okay.
But we're
Well, that's
looking at
good.
getting this back in the early spring, bid it,
Okay.
and possibly have this done in spring and summer or something. If we can.
That would be the hope, and it also gives us some time. So if we have real challenges with the construction process, we have a little bit of time to maybe wait it out and take a look.
Okay. Any other board members have questions?
So, Mr. Smith? Thank you. May I make a motion to approve the contract with Becker Morgan Group for the purpose of providing development of the prototype outdoor classrooms? Fiscal impact dollar amount of $76,000. Budget source, grant the Governor's Emergency Education Relief 2, Gears 2 funds. Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Happy holidays.
Okay. Dr. Salins, we have a proposal for modification of the 21-22 school year calendar.
Yes, President Smith, members of the board are bringing back to you the action item requesting a modification to the current year's calendar with an additional 5 half-days. Those days would really be looking at opportunities for the entire staff to promote self-care and just overall acknowledgement of their emotional well-being and promote that. So you asked that I survey community and staff members, and so we have done that. Mrs. Power Waters is here to present to you the data that was collected via that survey.
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members. At your last meeting, November 17th, you asked to collect data regarding stakeholders and the calendar, proposed calendar changes. And I have prepared a slide for you with the 5 dates that were proposed, 3 of them being a day before a holiday break, and 2 of them being in March, which is a very heavy month with no days off. We did receive, in 10 days, we received 1,868 replies, which was wonderful. I was asked to extract the Queen Anne's County Public School emails from the entire list of responses to get an accurate depiction of what the community members and families and parents said, as well as what our staff would like to have as far as calendar changes. The first one is Wednesday, December 22nd, and the pie chart at the top shows that 82.2% would like to make this an early dismissal day, and 17.8% keep it a full day. Underneath, I spread out the responses. As for the total response of 1,531 said change it to an early dismissal. Of that, 73% of those people were not Queen Anne's County Public School emails, and 28% were. I did the same thing for each day. Friday, March 4th, the same thing. There's over 70% agreed that 889 people said that we should make it an early dismissal day. 520 said no, but the Queen Anne's County emails, 30% and 8%. Friday, March 18th, you can see the same thing. Total of 1,290 said make it an early dismissal, and 549 said keep it a full day. And Thursday, April 14th, total of 1,440 said to make it an early dismissal, and 420 keep it a full day. And finally, May 27th, before Memorial Day, total responses of 1,547 said please make it an early dismissal, and 310 to keep it a full day. conclusion, 70% or more of the respondents said they would like all 5 days to become early dismissal days. Queen Anne's County's employees made up no more than 38% of the total amount of replies. Early dismissal days prior to holidays offered the most support in changing the calendar, 82% before winter break, 77% before spring break, and 83% before Memorial Day. And here's just another brief synopsis of the conclusion with the percentages. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
One thing is overwhelming that they want to do the 5 days. I see that. When you, and it's just a small point, but when you sit there and say only 30% were Queen Anne's County staff, people can use any email, so we really don't know where it's. I mean, we know roughly where it's coming from, but that's not an exact thing because I sometimes use this email, and sometimes I might use my personal email to do something. So
that's correct.
I would think, even though it's overwhelming, the bottom line is 70-80% of people want those days off. So I understand. I get that.
That's correct. That was the most accurate way that we could find to do it, so I was asked to extract just those emails.
I asked that question. I understand that.
And I think fair point too, that we recognize that some of our staff members are also parents and likely could have done it twice from two different emails as a staff member and as a parent. So, but it's hard to, we couldn't extrapolate that, unfortunately.
You need to get that, but 1,868 responded. You have a lot. We have 1,000 staff. We have parents. Well, we have 7,500 students, and just say 2. People need to get involved, and they're showing us that they want off, and that's what it is. My other, when you do this, and I've said it and been criticized for saying it. I'm not an opponent of half days. I find our students need to be in school. The best place are to have our students in school in front of our teachers. I also understand our teachers have had a hard workload, and it's been tough on everybody the last year and a half, 2 years. So I'm sympathetic, even though a lot of people don't think I am, and my wife will say that too. I wonder, and I guess it's too late now, if we could go to the statewide and say, why don't we just take 2 days off the 180? And I don't know if it's possible, and it's it's not, but that would be another way to do it. But if that's what the people want, that's a proposal now. We got to do something. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, well, I understand Dr. Salins' point of view, and we've discussed it, and I got the climate in the school system. So as I stated before, this just confirms, and I'm for it.
Any further discussion? Nope. Anybody? Calvin?
Nope.
Tammy?
Can I make a motion to accept the recommended days be put to half days that Dr. Salins has put forward? December 22nd, March 4th, March 18th, April 14th, and May 27th.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers.
Thank you. Thanks. Dr. Salins, you're 2 for 2.
So, Mr. Smith, members of the board, I bring an action item to you. The purpose of this action item is to seek approval for the proposed staff stipends to be implemented in the December 24th pay period. The request includes $1,000 net for full-time employees and $500 net for part-time employees. Due to, obviously, the continued challenges that we've had, we just talked about it, how staff members are extremely in a position where it's just been tough. And we want to recognize that, and we want to kind of show them that their dedication and their continued efforts, because we're not out of this yet, we want to just promote that, and that self-care is very important, and we kind of want to focus on this being part of showing that we want them to take measures to steps to that self-care. I really want to point out that Todd's here this evening as a representative of the commissioners. I can't stress enough the strong partnerships that we have with the commissioners. I can't stress enough how thankful and appreciative I am. I came to the commissioners, started to plant some seeds, started to talking to them quite a long time ago. They were extremely receptive, have been working diligently with me to bring this to the board tonight. So, in working with them, they're willing to fund this request if it is approved by you this evening. And then I do articulate in here what a full-time employee is defined as, just to make sure that that is very clear, and what a part-time employee is. And just a reminder that a part-time employee in this particular case would not include employees who strictly receive extracurricular activities compensation. These are for our folks that are in our schools every day, and that's everybody. That's our custodial staff members, that's our school secretaries, our teachers and such, and even our bus drivers. Obviously, they're not in our bricks and mortar, but they're with us every day, working very diligently and very hard. So I come to you with this proposal, asking for your action to approve this, so that I can make this partnership with the commissioners work for our staff.
So, point of information, Mr. Smith, I see actually two motions for this. One, a motion to have a letter sent to the county commissioners requesting the funds to make this happen. And a second motion, if that first one passes, that when funding has been given to us, if and when funding is given to us by the county, that we have a motion already in place that says local impact dollar amounts not to exceed 1.2 million, budget source, and state the budget source. That way, if it is funded, we already have a motion in place and approved, but we have to put the horse before the cart and send the letter over.
And I should have stressed this to begin with too. So the commissioners would be funding that stipend, but the board would be responsible for the taxes on that stipend.
That's what I'm seeing on here.
Right. So that would be not to exceed $100,000, but the commissioners, would be voting on themselves not to exceed the 1.1 million.
My feeling is the way this is written up, we are requesting, and we've had contact, but certainly commissioners have not officially
They haven't
acted
voted on it, no.
And they've got to do that at their next meeting, hopefully, I think, and Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, that we would request that the partnership with the county commissioners to do a stipend for our employees, that they would be funding 1.1 million, and then our fund balance would take away the 100,000. Then it would be approved. We're approving this and sending it to commissioners. If it by something they couldn't find ways to do it, then have to come back to us. It wouldn't succeed.
Right.
That's all.
That's accurate.
But it still requires the two motions just in case.
Well, I wouldn't, because if it doesn't pass, and it would.
Then the second motion is mute. If they don't give us the money, the second motion is mute, but at least we have the motion in there that it will go through using the fund balance.
It's going to go through. If we're going to send this to commissioners, if they give us the money, it goes through. If it doesn't, they don't give us the money, it's going to be kicked back to us, and we're going to have to come up with some other idea.
You are not getting the point.
No, I'm not.
No. We have to give the authority to Dr. Salins and the staff to spend the money, and how the other money how the 100,000 is coming out of fund balance. That's two separate motions.
Whatever.
Darren?
That's all right.
Sorry to drag you away. Two separate motions. One to send the letter and the other to spend the money.
Are you asking if you should do it that way?
Yes. Or just make it one whole motion.
You could make it, I don't think it's that complex, you could make it one whole motion, but when you make one whole motion, anybody disagrees with one part of it, obviously.
Correct.
You're not approving it, but there's no requirement either way.
Okay, fine.
I move to accept, what am I writing here, the action that the Queen Anne's County Board of Education approves the county-funded restricted employee stipends grant for the December 24th pay period, and the use of the fund balance not to exceed $100,000.
Second.
And second, and for discussion, the local restricted funds not to exceed 1.1 million is being requested through the county commissioners, and they will. Todd, is your next meeting next Tuesday?
December 14th.
December 14th.
Mr. Smith, are you adding to?
I'm just asking Todd when, for information from me and this board, when they will make a decision.
Our next meeting is December 14th.
So we would know by December the 14th?
Yeah.
Is that Jane and Tammy? Dr. Salins?
Yes.
Is that
Yes,
time to-
yes, we have it all worked out,
Okay.
where we can behind the scenes prepare appropriately, and if we get the word, we can have it radio, get it done.
Okay.
The timeline, we definitely, it's tight, but we got it. We're on it, and we've kind of back mapped it out to make sure that we can make it happen for that 24th paycheck.
Any discussion, everybody?
No, go ahead.
Got a motion second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, 5-0.
So, Mr.
Thank you,
Smith,
Todd.
so now that we have all agreed to do this, I make a motion to approve a letter be sent to the county commissioners to request the funding for the 1.1 for the purpose of staff stipends to be implemented in the December 24th, 2021 pay period. That way the letter will be sent. They have to have it in writing. That's my motion.
Okay, second. Any further discussion to send a letter? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have, at the beginning of our meeting, we did an amendment to our agenda. Mr. Pinder.
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, Sid Pinder, Chief Operating Officer. I bring before you tonight requesting approval of several contracts. The first one is with Skyline Technology. It's in the amount of over $25,000. You had asked to be informed if we ever won over $25,000, so I just want you to know this is not a single purchase. This is multiple purchase orders since July 1st. So if we have a camera that goes out, we're replacing the camera. If we have access controls, we're replacing those. We could have 7 or 8 cameras go out. It just all depends. So this amount here, we are going to exceed with a repair of some of the cameras that lightning struck. Obviously, we're going to get reimbursed for that through our insurance, but the amount has exceeded $25,000. Total? Total, sir. Yes, sir. Since the start. So we're seeking approval to move forward with the Skyline Technology agreement, and I would say that it is through the Carroll County Public Network, which is what we piggyback on, and I'll say most counties and local governments throughout the state of Maryland use the Carroll County Public Network contract to piggyback on.
So the total is over 25, but the invoices are just totaling.
Yes, sir. The total of the invoices is over $25,000. There's no way for me to predict each year how many cameras are going to go down or how many, access controls. We do keep the cost down by letting Skyline remote into our system and try to troubleshoot that way. But again, these are just purchase orders over the time that have accumulated to over $25,000. Funds are coming out of the FY22 operating budget and some from the Maryland Center for School Safety grants.
So when we get the insurance reimbursement, it just goes back into that account?
Yes.
Any further questions?
Well, I'd like to make a recommendation that we, as a part of our motion, that we say not to exceed 50,000, and then they have to come back to us. Because some of the money is coming out of our operating budget.
Yeah, I got to grab my head around this because we got a procurement policy of 25. Mr. Pinder's telling me that it's individual contracts or individual invoices totaling 25. At some time in there, when we're going through our budget and everything else, I'd like to clarify how this goes down and maybe not do that 25 right now personally and just approve this, but try to make it a little more
Sure.
user-friendly.
Not necessarily by vendor then, by individual invoice is what you're recommending?
Right, it's one thing if you're purchasing this whole package right now, then it's over 25, yes, it needs to come in front of us, but if it's been since now, piecemealed over, 2 cameras here and 2 cameras there.
Correct.
Well, that's why I'm asking to at least put a spending limit on it at this time because of our budget.
And I would rather just see it with, when we look at it, to just due it to the invoices, and just go ahead and.
If you don't mind, Ms. Harper, Tammy, let's just do this one and then discuss that other way to do something more efficiently. From Dr. Salen's here, what we're talking about.
Right, exactly.
Maybe you could come back with some ideas and.
Yeah, sure. As I said, looking at it by invoice.
You can send it to the board, they can look at it, and we can put it on a future agenda to maybe clean it up a little bit.
Sure,
because,
sure.
The other thing is, things are changing so much now with technology and stuff, and, a couple cameras go down, and it's a safety issue, So we've got to, I think, look at things maybe just a little differently sometimes. But anyway, I have a motion and a second on this.
You do?
Skyline, do I?
No, I don't think.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Skyline Technology Solutions to provide security cameras, assets controls, A-phones, ONSSI annual license, repair, service calls, upgrades, and other work as needed for the upkeep of our security and safety systems in the, we're not sure of the amount, and then we're going to work on that in the future.
Right, well, we're at the $25,000 right now.
It's over 25,000, which is why it came to us, correct.
All right, second.
Budget source?
The operating budget, FY22 operating budget. And Maryland Center for School Safety Grants.
Gotcha. A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next one on here is a 22 Ford Transit.
Yes, board members, this is more of the traditional $25,000 single purchase item that you're kind of accustomed to. Seeking approval of a 2022 Ford Transit Connect STB from Apple Ford to replace a 2003 Ford van that's been in service for over 18 years, and we're having some mechanical problems with it. This contract would be utilizing the Baltimore County government contract, which we've done for several other maintenance vehicles. This van would be in our food service department, as you saw earlier, how many meals that we're producing this year. And those ladies are riding around, in a van that's seen its day. So seeking approval for Apple Ford. The physical impact is $25,946.40. And this was identified as a budget source in our ESSER 2 that you've seen several times before.
That's the Baltimore County contract discounting Ford government price.
Yes, and I'll be honest with you, this is about the only route to go right now. We have tried to find one on the lot, and it has been hard to come by. And this is also the cheapest route.
I've heard everybody having trouble getting work vans and trucks and stuff.
Yeah, I have 2 questions.
Sure.
One is, what do we do with the 2003?
So we use everything until its last leg. Normally, we take the vans that have a ton of high mileage on them, we assign them to a school, the custodians transport furniture in them, cleaning equipment, those types of things. We use it till it is no longer running. Sometimes we do, when we get to the point that, hey, it's costing us more to fix it, we put it on public surplus, which is a government contract. We then put it out to bid, and people buy, just like they buy our buses, they buy that. So, I mean, it goes through the whole life cycle of what we can get out of it.
Yeah. We'll add another for the insurance. Do we get fleet insurance? I know that, I think State Farm offers fleet. Do we get fleet insurance?
Our insurance is through MAID, the Maryland Association Board.
And then second, what's with the solid steel partition? What's normally there? Nothing, or?
Well, you can have it either way. I would prefer to have it there for safety, so when food service has to stop, they don't get slammed in the back of the head with the turkey sub coming through.
So it's either nothing or the solid steel, there's like no.
So no, it's just, yeah. straight up. I just was worried about them, driving and didn't want to put them in.
And, I do, like, some of our vehicles are just very dated, and honestly, it's not a very efficient or effective way to just kind of keep continuing to limp along. I'd really like to look into leasing, which is a very efficient way, and then you have vehicles that are on a cycle that every 18 to 2 years are turned over. You can get to a point where they're turned over into such a fashion that you're almost breaking even on those because they're able to sell them for more. I'd like to look into that because I think that, obviously keeping a vehicle that's from 2003, the amount of money that we put in there, we could have leased 3 or 4 over. So I think it's time for us to really step back and evaluate. That's just going to take some time, for us to look into it to see the benefits of that. I've seen it work successfully, though, and be advantageous in the long run to districts. So I think that this might be a good opportunity to start looking into it for a subsequent year.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further questions?
No.
I have a motion.
Motion to approve the purchase of a 2022 Ford Transit Connect SUV from Apple Ford to replace a 2003 Ford E250 van that's been in service for 18 years and is experiencing mechanical problems. Fiscal impact, dollar amount $25,946.40, and the budget source is ESSER 2 funds.
Motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. The next one.
Okay, board members, this is similar to the first one, seeking approval of WB Mason to provide personal protective equipment for all Queen Anne's County Public Schools. Basically, we're utilizing the lowest quotes on the following PPE equipment, adult masks, youth masks, wipes. This is another one of those where it's not one single purchase. It's been several purchase orders of $2,000, $5,000. And when we do that, we're always seeking the lowest price and also how we can get the inventory. WB Mason has really stepped up and came through for us during the pandemic. So I'm seeking approval tonight because, like I said, it's over $25,000 from multiple POs. And this money, some of it's coming out of FY22 operating budget and then also ESSER 2 funds.
By the board.
Is this similar? I know we talked, you did a fantastic job of educating me about for the supply closets, the contract or the person
Yes, ma'am.
around.
Nope.
So this isn't included in supply closet?
No, this we were, okay, for the PPE, we were even able to find a cheaper price for this. Some of the other vendors that we were using, prices were a little bit higher. You're thinking of the vendor management inventory for the custodians and all. This is totally different, basically, for COVID purposes.
All right, so who keeps track of what we have at each school with this stuff? Because I was really impressed with
Ms.
that.
Carla Pullen does.
Okay.
She spends a good portion of her time tracking that and making sure that it was signed off for, making sure the quantities are correct, and trying to look for any discrepancies. Are the burn rates going up way high? Why are they? She does an excellent job with that.
Great, thank you.
Yep, yes, ma'am.
So how much money is going to be used from the operating budget? How much money do we have left in the ESSER funds? Can we put a certain amount of money aside for this? I mean, I don't want to keep overspending our budget.
Do you
Let's see, I'm pulling up in ESSER 2, the balance that we have in PPE. Let's see. As of the end of November, the PP&E, it's $313,000.
Okay.
I think
We really haven't overspent. We're just
Yeah.
at that threshold of 25,000.
That's what I'm saying. So we at least have 300,000 left
Yes.
to be used,
Yeah.
which we may need other things to besides just masks.
And like I said, it's really keeping the inventory of what goes out.
Okay.
You know, and if something happens within 2 or 3 days and the school's saying, hey, we need 20 more boxes, I mean, Carla's like, hey, what's going on here? So, you know, I think it's a pretty accurate burn rate of what she has.
So we're thinking that the budget source really could just be the ESSER 2 funds. It sounds like we have the funds for that.
Correct, in ESSER 2. The custodial supplies are more for out of the operating budget.
Any further discussions? I hear a motion for approval.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the WB Mason contract for the purpose of providing personal protection equipment for the fiscal impact dollar amount of over $25,000, budget source, ESSER 2 funds.
Okay, and the janitorial out of operating budget. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay. Come on, Sid, one more.
Last one. The last one I'm seeking approval on is for Rain Tree Services. They provide leak investigation services, caulking, roof repairs, preventive maintenance, inspections, and coating of the roofing systems for all Queen Anne's County Public Schools buildings. Basically, we go out and seek, this is another one where it's just multiple POs. We don't ever know with 1.4 million square feet of roof, you know, it doesn't take long for 2,500 here, 3,500 there, you know, 10 leaks and you're over top of the $25,000. So again, this is multiple purchase orders. The funding source for this is the FY22 operating budget. And again, it's one of those where the PO is over $25,000, but it's just not for one single purchase order. It's for multiple ones.
Can I ask Ms. Towers again, what department is this under? Is this under repairs and maintenance of?
Correct. This is going to be under the maintenance contracts.
And then how much do we have in that balance at the moment? I mean, barring having anything else coming in that we need done out of that department.
Contracts as a whole, it's there's a balance of 447.
Okay. 447,000? Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? I have a motion.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the Rain Tree Services contract for leak investigation services, preventive maintenance, fiscal impact dollar amount over $25,000, budget source FY22 operating budget.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sid.
Citizens Forum, I don't think we have anybody here right now.
Jeanette, you want to say something? Happy holidays.
We've had some discussion. Our future board meetings, or our next work session would be scheduled for 12/15, and our next board meeting will be January the 5th, 2022. Get that wrong one more once. Now, 12/15. Dr. Salins, do you have anything on the agenda that are pressing between now and the next board meeting?
No, anything we have really we can schedule for January.
Any board members have any heartburn or anything that's necessary to have a meeting on the 15th?
No.
And I would entertain a motion to cancel our work session for December the 15th.
So moved.
Second, I have a second. Any further discussion? Thank you. Okay, we will not have a meeting. Our next board meeting.
Call for a vote,
All those in favor say
You're
aye.
just ready. Aye.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm learning.
Excited for that.
Our next board meeting will be January the 5th of next year. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We have a few things.
Happy
to
holidays,
with.
happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. And have a pleasant evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.